Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. I want to tap in today. Again, we back to it, giving you my perspective, giving you my outlook, my perspective on it, my viewpoint on it, right? My expertise, my experience. Why? Why do you do this, Daniel? I do it because I continue to experience confusion, a lack of clarity, disconnection, and it's sad. It's really sad a lot of times. My whole goal is to be a part of the conversations that have happened, that are happening, and that will continue to happen in the future, and to be one of the tools that hopefully people utilize to gain an outlook, to gain a perspective, to gain a point of reference, that you're not the only one that may think like you do. You're not the only person that may have some of the thoughts you have. I felt like that for a long time. I still feel like that a lot of times in my own individual life. But that's why I do it. That's what motivates me. My goal is to be able to assist in helping people to get out of their own mental block and to grow. That's the goal. So I need you guys' help in that goal. You get a chance right now. If you go ahead and hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe. I gladly appreciate it. That is how I know that what I'm doing is purposeful and that it is actually being impactful. So anyway, let's get started. I am excited about this topic. I'm calling it a series. Maybe it'll be a series, maybe it won't. In my mind, I was like, this is going to be a series, right? So what got me to this point? What got me to this point is that I've been having conversations, like I said, over the years, and I've been having conversations as of recently. And some of the conversations I've been having, again, are coming right back to the same nonsense, the same crap. The communication and the breakdown between women and men. Women and men. On this side, we have their perspective. On this side, we have their perspective. And then somewhere in the middle, they're not connecting, right? It's not a cohesiveness. So I wanted to try to create a space to where I'm like, okay, Daniel, what do you want to talk about this week? And in my mind, I said it's going to be a series. So the way I mapped that in my mind, just so you guys know what I was thinking, I figured I would take one day and talk about men to the ladies, right? And then I'll take another day and I'll talk about ladies to the men. And then the third day, I will bring it all together, mix it in, tie it together, and hopefully tie both types of perspectives and tips and tricks and advice from those collective viewpoints, right? So that's what I'm attempting to do. So bear with me. Today, I'm talking to the ladies. Yes, that's right, you ladies, because I just can't for the life of me understand why women want to continue to combat what men are saying. Myself being a man, other men that are saying some of the same things, other men that continue to say some of the same things, because you know what? I'm brave. I'm a brave soul. Yes, that's right. I'm saying it. I'm brave. You know why I'm brave? Because anytime a man opens his mouth and has an opposing viewpoint of what a woman thinks, it's already met with negativity. It's already met with drama. Like, I hear it now. They're going to be like, Daniel, that's not true. I know a girl in Oregon that, that doesn't pertain to... Or my auntie, she's not like that. Like, I love it how when you say this is how it is, and women have one isolated incident, right? Maybe even a couple that in their mind debunks the truth. It kills the whole overall rule because they hate generalization. Like, you women, y'all hate generalization. I don't know why, but you hate generalization. You want so bad to, in your mind, be the exception to the rule. Like, I think when men say, yo, you're not good enough, that hurts your ego. Like, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine just the other night about ego. She was talking about ego, and I was laughing because I was like, yo, why you got a problem with ego? Men and women both have ego. I personally believe that women's ego is a lot bigger than men's ego, but we'll talk about that in another broadcast. So anyway, back to what I'm saying. It seems to be a correlation between the female population on this disconnect and how when men say something and what their viewpoint is or what their outlook is or how they, feel about things, that it is already met with a opposition. And it's collective. It's not one coming for him. It's a whole multitude, right? Which has in turn created a dynamic which I'm personally sad to see and witness on a daily basis. That men, and I'm going to say this, men, and that's okay, because I got y'all. I believe most men are terrified to speak their truth. That's right. I'm going to say it. I'm speaking for all men. And some people be like, well, you can't speak for all men. Well, it's my channel. So on this channel, I'm speaking for all men, or most men, whichever. Men collectively. I believe most men are terrified to tell the truth, are terrified to convey their viewpoint. And the crazy part is that I've done research on this. For those who are savvy with Google, go ahead and type it in. What are some of men's biggest fears when it comes to relationships? And one of the top fears that I kept seeing in multiple posts and multiple articles and multiple publications was the fact that they felt that they could not be honest, completely honest, especially vulnerably honest with their significant other, their counterpart. Why? I believe I know why. I think that in a lot of cases, women are so sensitive, so defensive, so darn insecure that anytime you say something that may not even be saying you're whack or you're trash or you're garbage or you're lazy, you're not even attacking her, right? You're just saying what you think or what you would like. And if it doesn't pertain to her, she immediately takes offense to it. Because women, by nature, in my opinion, are always seeking confirmation and validation, especially from the man that they value, right? So, yes, ladies, yes. I'm a man that's actually aware of that. I don't know how many men are really aware of that, but we're going to talk about that. On their day, I'm going to give them some tools, give them some tips to help deal with y'all. Because I'm tired of seeing my dudes out here stressed out. I'm tired of seeing my dudes out here, ready to lose their crap. I'm tired of seeing my dudes out here that are confused, right? Like, we got more information now. That's better. The light was getting too crazy. I want y'all to get the full experience. Anyway, we got more information now than any time in history about anything. Just period. Anything. And what seems to still be apparent, like I had talked about in one of my posts, one of my shows, I believe it was Marriage is a Business, I had talked about communication between couples, between the parties, that people get in a relationship, but they don't really talk. They don't really talk and dive in and investigate and get to know each other on those intimate levels, right? Well, I believe that the biggest reason is because the style that is women's communication and the style that is men's communication are completely and utterly different. Ladies, men, do not talk like you guys talk. Now, some people may say, well, Daniel, you're very communicative. You're very talkative, very verbal, very expressive. You're right. I'm inclined to agree with you, right? But I'm not your everyday guy. Most men are not as interested in conversation as someone like myself, right? And so because I may be one isolated incident's not the right word. I may be one isolated case. I may be one isolated individual. I may be one man that is the way I function. That does not mean that that's a universal rule, right? Most men, by their base, like their base models, like I hope I'm explaining this very, in a basic level, I'm definitely not trying to offend anybody. It's just how I'm trying to break it down, right? Most people understand base models of everything, whether it's a car, whether it's a hotel. I was using this example. When you have a hotel, I'm talking to my friend just last night, and I was saying, when you have a hotel, you got your basic room, you got your suites, and you got your penthouse, right? Everybody understands the levels. The levels have different tiers, right? So most men at their base level, you know, your generic standard room of a man, their communication skills are very, very basic. Simple. Most men do not communicate for the same purpose that women communicate. Most men communicate with intention of completion. The intention of getting information to execute something. Whether that be fixing a problem, whether that be a direction, whether that be a plan, a purpose. This is how most men communicate, right? Okay. Why is that important? That is important because I hear so many women talk about, why doesn't he give me more detail? Why is talking to him like pulling teeth? Why do I have to ask a lot of questions to get him to even open up? Well, ladies, I'm here to tell you, most men don't see the purpose of talking excessively unless you have shown interest and care, support in the fact that when he does talk, he's actually being listened to and not criticized. You created an open space for that communication, and that he feels trust and feels it's necessary to divulge certain information to you. Because most men don't just talk just to talk. That's collective. If you ever observe two men, and if they're not talking about sports, because sports is an exception. You know, sports, they can go back and forth for hours. I mean, dang, ESPN. Right? But anyway, in most exchanges with men, it's information-based. It is what he needs to know and what he needs to know to do. That's simply how most men are. Now, again, why is this important? I believe it's important because I think that why women are struggling so much with something as basic, in my opinion, as communication, is because you do not speak the language that is men. You think you do because you may be speaking English if they speak English. You may be speaking Spanish if they speak Spanish. You may be speaking Korean if they're Korean, and so on and so forth, right? But just because you're using the same words and just because you're using the same definition, that does not mean that in a man's mind, when you're talking, you're communicating effectively to what he's receiving, what he's digesting, and what resonates, right? Okay, what do I mean? I'll give you an example. Hopefully this makes sense, ladies, because I'm doing it for y'all. I'm doing it for us, but I'm doing it for y'all too. I want this to be understood, because to me, it's so sad that we are 21 years into the millennium and it's still people just not being able to just basically communicate. Anyway, all right. So I had observed some years ago a woman who had a child, right? And what used to happen was every day her and this child used to have discussions about food and what she was going to eat and what she was going to feed her. And what I used to find very interesting was when she would ask the child what she wanted to eat, she left a gamut of options open, right? She just asked, "Are you hungry? What do you want to eat?" Now, this child was a little girl. And what I found in watching and observing this interaction was the little girl, with the vastness that was her imagination, really didn't know what she wanted to eat with direction, like with straight certainty, right? And so it would take 15 to 20 minutes just to have a conversation about what she wanted to eat. Now, me being a part of this equation, what I started suggesting to this particular woman was, why don't you give her two options? Either going to McDonald's or Subway, Chick-fil-A or IHOP. Two options. That's it. And watch how more efficiently your day will be just from something like that. She said, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. So she started implementing this practice. And when she reported back to me that, it's been so much easier to just get things going, I was like, now, isn't that amazing? That instead of giving so many options, instead of, opening up the forum to create this connection-based communication thing, because what it was, in my observation, was it wasn't just about getting her fed. It was an emotional component to her being a mother, this being a child, and wanted to give her child the best choice and option from a feeling-based thing, like a feeling-based exchange. Sometimes, ladies, communication has nothing to do with emotion. It has nothing to do with how you freaking feel. That's right, I said it. I haven't gotten to that part in my channel yet where I have talked about this particular, mantra that I have, that your feelings don't matter. But I will get there eventually. I will tie that in more as I'm moving forward, because I think that it needs to be stressed that your feelings don't matter to nobody but you. Like, that's the truth, right? So anyway, and so I use that as an example because it's very important to understand that you have to know as a woman why you're saying what you're saying. What are you hoping to accomplish? And what are you hoping that he understands? See, what I found in some of my relationships over the span of my life was that when women try to communicate to me, and I'm an actual communicator, I don't mind pulling back the layers, figuring some things out. I'm a little different in that sense, but I do also understand that most men are not like me in that sense. So that's why I'm trying to help you guys understand that most men are not going to have the capacity to be able to converse with you on the emotional level that you desire. Why is that important? Because even with myself, anytime a woman tried to get me to understand how she feels, that was a lose-lose battle. Like, that battle never went in her favor, ever. It just never it never worked out. What do you mean by not worked out, Daniel? I mean that I believe that the intention of what she was trying to convey to me was relative to how she felt. She needed to take her emotions, her heart, her feelings, and transfer that through her words in hopes that I would interpret, connect, and feel how she felt, or at least understood how she felt. Ladies, stop doing that crap. It's not effective. Like, it is never, in my opinion, going to work well for you when you try to get a man to identify through your words your emotional state of mind and how you feel about it. Men are directive-based beings. The purpose of talking to a man is usually for information basis. There are case-by-case circumstances that they do want to share about things, but most of the time, if you hear men excessively talking, it's usually based around hobby-based things like, their cars or, their habits. Like, they like to, go to the shooting range or shoot ball or shoot pool, or the glory days when they were that high school running back who ran for a 40-yard touchdown. Like, that's usually the only time you're going to hear a man give you a lot of details, right? But in most cases, their communication is very cause and effect. It's informative. It's to execute. He's hungry, he's going to go find some food. He's thirsty, he's going to go find something to drink. It's always cause and effect. All that in-between crap, that's not how most men operate. I'm driving this point, I'm spending time here because I think that this is one of the key components in trying to get women to understand this. If this could be understood, I think that it would lessen the frustration that most women are having when trying to communicate with their man in a way that is best beneficial for the whole, right? So, ladies, you have to understand. Does this require you to think? Yes. Does this require you to put your emotions in a state of maybe pause? I would say that you would have to learn how to feel the way you feel, but not feel that your communication needs to be transferred through your words for him to understand how you feel. I hope that makes sense. Because in a man's mind, I don't care if you told him the most horrific crap on the planet. I don't care if you told him you was, molested as a child. I don't care if you told him that you was kidnapped. I don't care if you told him that you got fired, evicted, and someone stole your debit card all in the same day. The truth, and I'm keeping it a buck with you guys, because this is what it is. Men hear the trauma, but they don't necessarily connect with the trauma. They hear you, they understand you, but they don't know how that connective component emotionally feels. And the main reason why is because everybody's emotional makeup is completely different. Every woman's emotional makeup is different. Every man's emotional makeup is different. So he may care because he cares about you. He may care and show care by listening, by giving you a hug, by giving you advice, by praying for you, kissing you on your forehead, buying you some roses, gestures and whatnot to convince you in your mind that he cares. But guess what? He does not care the way you care. It's just different. There's a huge disconnect there. And I think that the more you spend time as a woman trying to force that understanding, the more you'll be frustrated and the more you'll be disappointed. Just my advice, what I've seen, what I've lived. Moving on. Communication is key in trying to convey the right directive. What do you mean by that, Daniel? I think that a lot of times women don't really understand what they're saying and what they're trying to convey, right? Now, some people are saying, what you trying to say? We dumb? You trying to say we stupid? We don't know what we're saying? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of times, and I've witnessed it, I've experienced it, I believe women are so used to talking to other women and getting a certain response from women that they feel that that is a constant transferable reaction or receiving of what they're saying. So I'll give you an example, right? I've met a lot of women that claim they're independent. The first thing that goes across my mind is, why is she telling me this? Like, as a man, why is she telling me this? What is she trying to convey in my mind, right? Because I understand that words really freaking matter. I understand that what you say has context. So I'm a man, you're a woman, we're talking, you're telling me about yourself, I'm trying to get to know you, you're trying to give me a clear image of who you are, right? And something like, well, I'm independent. Great. I would tell sometimes some ladies that as an adult, once I ask you how old you are, it is a safe assumption. And again, it's an assumption that you are independent. If you're, I would say, over the age of 25, I would assume that you have created some level of independence for yourself. I would assume that as an adult, certain things go without saying. Like, to me, when I hear a woman say, I'm independent, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, no duh, congratulations, you should be. Like, what, you want a cookie? Like, you want an award for that crap? Okay, welcome to being an adult, right? And it's asinine. Now, this is my assumption. My assumption is when women say that, they're trying to sell you on their value. Again, this is my assumption. They're trying to sell you on the fact and separate themselves from the classification and the population that is other women. Because it's usually understood that most women probably are not independent, probably are not living that lifestyle like a boss, or making her own rules, or paying all her own bills, or any of that. Otherwise, in my opinion, it wouldn't make no sense to mention it if that was the norm, right? But that's something that occurs. Same thing with education. Well, I'm educated. Okay, what are you trying to convey to that man? And what I think happens is that sometimes, let's go back to utilizing I'm independent, right? So you meet a man, it's March. Fast forward, 6 months, y'all dating, everything's good. And when you met him, you said you were independent, you handle your own business, you don't need no man. This is what you said, right? This is what you conveyed. Now, what you probably meant to say was you are all those things, but you would like someone to stand next to you, help support you, help contribute to you, give you the same type of strength that you convinced yourself you have, and you want to see and experience that from a man. This is my interpretation, right? I think sometimes the fact that women don't understand, you created the very dynamic that sometimes you're experiencing. By saying things like, I'm independent, it's conveying to a man that you are independent. You are without need of assistance, right? In its basic form. What does independent mean? The definition of independent is without support, is without backing. It is a linear person, thing, standalone. That's what it means. That's what independent means. Now, I understand, and I think most people understand, that saying I'm independent is a glorified, braggadocious tagline. It sounds good. Beyonce and them, the Destiny's Child people, they made it sound real good to the to female population, and they created a narrative that now conveys to men, especially when it comes out of a woman's mouth that she is independent, that, well, shoot, you're independent. So, like I was saying, fast forward a few months, he stops being as, I would say, invested. He stops being as over the top considerate, going out of his way to maybe protect or show or do or invest or whatever it may be, right? And now you're irritated. Now you're upset. Now you're saying, well, why is it that you're not looking out for me? Why is it that you're not concerned? Why is it that you're not doing these things? Rewind. It could be that you set the foundation at the juncture of y'all meeting that I'm independent, I don't need no man. I'm independent, I don't need no man. I'm good. So, in some cases, men take that literal. Like, take that as, well, all right, and they're cool with that. The problem is that if that's not what you want in the exchange of your relationship, ladies, then you may want to refrain from certain terminology, because you could be setting the wrong precedents. You could be setting the wrong type of expectation. And I've seen that happen more times than not. See, the problem is that you don't got enough females talking to men and asking them how they see things, what they mean. I put something up online the other day about you as a woman can't determine your whole phase or the level of wholeness you are unless you talk to a man of quality. And I meant that crap. And I got quite a few responses about it and asking, well, what determines and what qualifies you as a man to tell me how, what level of wholeness I am or what level of whole I am. And that's a simple equation. A quality man is going to have standards. A quality man is going to have things that he doesn't particularly care to engage with. Point blank, period. Now, if this man has, like I said, quality man, this man has a vision, an outlook, a perspective, a standard, a certain overall blueprint of how he envisions himself, he's going to have that same thing for his woman. He's going to have that same type of standard. It's going to be consistent with how he views his life forming. And if he's interested in a woman to keep, not a woman to have fun with. Let's get that clear, because it seems to be really confusing to females sometimes when they think because a man will smash you, bend you over, give you some, entertain you for a little bit, that he wants you. No. I'm talking about a woman he wants to keep. I'm talking about a woman he wants to build with. That woman, if he's a quality man, he don't want no woman who's been out in these streets. He don't want no woman who's been throwing her box around. He doesn't want no woman with a high body count. Almost every man that I know or interact with or I've listened to over podcasts, so on and so forth, has the same general expectation. They do not want a woman with high mileage. They do not want a woman who they know their body has been used. It's the same reason why single mothers aren't that appealing for your average single guy who's looking to build, because of the many layers that comes with that. And I think that the fact that men are now verbalizing these things are really upsetting ladies, because it's always been okay for you guys to just show up any way, shape, or form, and it was just supposed to be expected that men were going to take it, right? I'm glad I'm on that point now, because I'm going to segue into the other thing that comes with the expectation and the viewpoint of men, which seems to be another issue that women are having a hard time digesting. Your looks, your presentation. I still am struggling in my mind to understand why this is such a hard thing to understand. Why is it so asinine, so out of reach, so troubling for a woman to understand that men collectively, I don't care, young, old, fat, tall, short, I don't care. Men collectively are visual. We are visual. We are visual. Guess what, ladies? That's not going to change. That's not going to change because we care about you. That's not going to change because you're valuable and we love you and we affirm you and we adore you. That is not going to freaking change. We are visual. Visual. Like, visual. It's what it is. It is your job. Yes, I said job. J-O-B. Make it your career to look your best, to be on your game, to be on top of your crap. Not be someone else, yours. What works for you? If you have great hair, nice hair, keep that hair looking nice. If you have great skin, insinuate the skin. If you have a nice physique, insinuate. But I'm tired of hearing women want to show up frumpy, overweight, out of shape, basic looking, installing these weaves and wigs and crap, putting stuff and gluing crap to you, and then expecting that we are supposed to just be okay with it. That narrative is nonsense. The movies that you don't watch, that these high value men and men of extreme, earnings and purpose and any of that, that pretty woman crap, like taking a, where was I? Okay, that movie, Pretty Woman, Set It Off, that nonsense, no. That's not how it usually works, ladies. A man doesn't want to have to necessarily dress you up. I think that's a nice story. I think that it's a nice notion, but I don't believe that that's what most men want to do, let alone are capable of doing. Women's dress and body types and textiles and all that stuff is different. That's a conversation for another time. But the point that I'm trying to make is that how you look is of utmost importance to most, if not all, men. It's the same reason why you can see a married man who's been with his wife 10, 15, 20 years, right? And he open his garage and he can have posters of women who look completely different than his wife, the woman he married, the woman he chose. Now, some may be like, oh, that's disrespectful. That's offensive. Like, why would he do that? Like, hell no. That's shame on her for allowing it. No. What it is that men appreciate nice things. They appreciate beauty. I was having this conversation briefly with a friend of mine last night, and I said, I don't get how women don't understand this. It's so strange to me because, you'll hear the argument like, well, men should be totally okay with a quality woman. Like, what about how she is on the inside? How she is of her character? What if she's a good person? She's a good woman. Yeah, ladies, we don't care until we're attracted to you. See, all that matters when we're attracted to you. So the way I was connecting the argument was that I was saying that's like saying that if a man's outlook on a woman was solely based on her intellect and her intelligence, that he should go shopping for women at like Barnes and Noble, right? But what's crazy is that since brains and all that stuff is not at the topmost of the attraction pool for men, you'll go somewhere like Hooters and it ain't never empty. Why is it never empty? You wonder why, right? Like Barnes and Noble, books, education, fiction, nonfiction, novels, information. I'm pretty sure you went in there, you find a relatively smart young lady, a relatively smart woman, right? But Hooters, men go there voluntarily, and their chicken wings aren't even that good. But men go there. Why do they go there? Do they go there because the food is amazing? Do they go there because they just have to have wings and fries and beer and a burger at Hooters? No. They go there because the women look good. It's just that simple. Just that simple. So keep it simple. Y'all ever heard of that, the acronym KISS? Keep it simple, stupid. All right. Keep it simple, stupid. Ladies, keep it simple. Part of this whole miscommunication, understanding of men, intellect, understanding of the perspective of men ties into that. Visual aesthetics, upkeep, your fitness, how you look, utmost important. And last but not least, I'm losing my sunlight, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. This is a little bit longer of a broadcast, but that's okay because I felt like I need to give a little bit more information and some continuity to it because this seems to be a serious issue. But last but not least, your temperament. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're unpleasant to be around, if you're not fun, if you're always bitchy, if you're always moody, if you're always emotional, no man is going to want to deal with that over a long period of time. What do I mean by that? If you're always complaining, if you always are whining, if you're always having to measure his commitment to you or his love for you or his care for you by what he's doing, not doing, always trying to fact check. He may say something that is not necessarily correct. Correcting him is not the problem. How you correct him is the problem. So I use this example with a friend of mine because we were having the same exact discussion because she couldn't understand why I was saying that it's rude if the man is talking and he says the wrong word and then you correct him at that moment. And what ended up coming from the conversation was she couldn't understand, like, why is that a problem? Because if he said it wrong, I should be able to tell him that he's wrong at that moment, right now. And some other ladies listening to me say it right now may be like, yeah, I don't see the point. I don't see the problem. Well, it's a problem because, see, communication is a skill. It really is. And there's rules to it. You know how there's the art of war? There's the art of communication, right? In communication, especially with a man, when he's talking to a woman, men are more linear in the way that they speak. So what do I mean by that, ladies? When a man is speaking, most men do not have the capacity to be interrupted, disrupted, or thrown off their initial point. Their words travel like a mule travels in a straight line. Now, this is not saying that they're not intelligent. This is not saying that they're not as intellectual. This is not saying they're not smart enough to be able to keep up with multiple things that in most cases women could collectively be thinking about. Dinner tonight, what happened last weekend, what to shop for Christmas, how she felt about the conversation with the meeting with their boss. Women can sort out 8 things in their mind on average. I have that gift. Most men don't have that gift. So you have to understand that usually in a man's mind, conversing is a task to get his thoughts out, to get his point of view out. And he likes to do that straight, without interruption. Now, what I suggested in this particular conversation I was having with my friend was, what was wrong with you correcting him after he was done talking? And she was like, well, I'll probably forget. Like, it'd probably be over at that point. Well, in my opinion, if it wasn't that important for you to remember, then it wasn't that important for you to correct him. So you can't have it both ways, trying to make it seem like, well, I should be able to correct him without having to tailor the way I'm going to say it to make him feel okay. But then at the same token, can't even remember what the heck, you wanted to correct him by. So that tells me that it's really not of utmost importance. And it's kind of funny because if what he's saying, it's coming from your man, if he's talking to you, it should be of the utmost importance, especially if your intent behind it was to make sure that he was communicating effectively. And what I have found, like I said, in the rules of communication, a lot of times people assume just because you're with somebody, male or female, that them telling you something gives you the right to speak on it, give you the right to give your opinion. And what I have found, that even in a relationship, an established relationship, even in a relationship that is based in love and trust and honor and all those things, your best bet of approaching this, especially when you're communicating with a man, is to still inquire if that is okay. Words like, may I make a suggestion? Or have you ever considered? Or, you know what I think? Or have you ever thought about this? There's ways to get things done that doesn't come across as bitchy or controlling or demanding. And in my experience, a lot of women have that as a temperament. They have that as a base. They like to control crap. I've said it in my other posts. You guys are control freaks most of the time. You need to stop that crap because it doesn't work when you're dealing with a man. So what I was using as an example as well is that even with therapists, when you go and hire a therapist allows you to convey all of your thoughts, all of your dreams, all of your fears, all of what is going on in your mind and your emotions. And then even when they suggest what to do, they do exactly that. They say, may I recommend something? I'm thinking and listening to what you're saying. Have you ever considered? Maybe you should try this, and that. And the therapist is in a position to actually give you advice, to actually, create a direction of you to focus. That's why you're there. You're trying to gain their understanding, their professionalism, their expertise. But even them, they take the place of still knowing that you're a person, you're a human being, that you're not to be necessarily handled like an order, like well, you're wrong and you're so wrong that I need to tell you what it is right now so that you know. Like, this is me showing you that I care. No, showing that you care is the respect that you have for that person, to still want to say what you want to say, to have them be correct, to have them be factual, but it's the way you do it. And I wish, more women understood this, and I believe they do. I want to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, because when men say things, and it's not met with the right tone, the right verbiage, why'd you have to say it like that? Say it like that. It's the same thing. You're dealing with a person. And I think sometimes there's this illusion that because we're men, because we're strong, because we're the representation of strength, that your words or the way you deliver it doesn't have the same effect or similar effect. This is not a reference to his weak nature. This is not a reference to his inability to take your direct approach. It's about care, respect, support. And communication being pretty much a focal point of this broadcast today. If you want to be effective in your communication, ladies, you need to figure out how to speak what men respond to. You need to figure out how they hear information, how they digest information, what you're trying to truly convey, and what you're trying to accomplish with what you're saying. Make it easy. Keep it simple, stupid. That's going to be it for today. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and see if I may elaborate. I know I went a little long today. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I hope that you got something out of it. I may go over my notes and add a little bit more because there was a couple things I wanted to touch on that I didn't get a chance to get into today. But I want to continue to bring clarity to this situation because I really think it's a huge problem. It really seems to be a disconnect. And I just want to see people have more effective communication and dealings when they're dealing with the opposite sex. So this is Daniel Rucker with Truth Table signing out. You guys have a good day, have a good evening, and until next time, thank you.